Hi folks, I haven't been updating people in real time about some of the motions filed in the Delphi case, mainly because I think a lot of it is boring and a distraction from some of the things that I want to focus on right now. But I said I'd update people if there's anything important, and some big news in the Delphi case last night because Richard Allen, via his defence team, has filed for a speedy trial. This is not something that Judge Gull can really deny without causing chaos and ending up back at the Supreme Court. It's his constitution right, as it is anyone's. Like, he's been pretty much held in solitary confinement and paraded around in shackles for a long time now. This case will take precedent over pretty much every other case in the jurisdiction, so there's very little chance of any scheduling issue impacting the 70 days. I'm happy about it. Let's go. Let's get it over with. Time for people to show their cards and let a jury decide who has the best hand. I'm not an attorney and I'm making this video without consulting one, but my only hesitation here is, what if this is just Richard Allen's attorneys making sure that Judge Francis Gull does not throw them off the case again? The Supreme Court justices were very concerned about how chucking attorneys off a case can directly impact the defendant's right to a speedy trial. The woman from the DA's office also said that this must be given great weight by a judge, in the state's opinion. They talked about it, but it wasn't a factor in the consideration for their ruling because Rick Allen's defence hadn't yet filed that motion. His defence team was like, hang on, we were just about to do it, we swear, but we got thrown off the case. Here's the motion. We already had it signed. We were waiting to go, but it's not filed. So you should take it into consideration. They didn't, and I agree with them, because it wasn't filed. So if it's not filed, it shouldn't be taken into consideration. You should have filed it, but you didn't. If you wanted a speedy trial, you could have filed in this. You didn't. But now they have. And now, an attempt to kick Richard Allen's attorneys off this case is dead, surely. If she removes them now, I can't ever see this going to trial. It will cause chaos. We'll end up back at the Supreme Court and Rick Allen will probably walk. Unless they have direct evidence of Baldwin organising the leak or setting it up or even giving it a green light, which I highly doubt they have because I've seen some of the original messages where this leak came out. Like, unless they have something like that, I think this hearing is a waste of time when it comes to getting justice for Abby and Libby. It's a spin-off, a sideshow. And I don't think Judge Gull, because of the appearance of bias that it will just give off, was going to remove them, regardless of the speedy trial. But you never know with her. She's a law unto herself. And the ruling from the Supreme Court, I thought, was a bit kind and gentle to her. They were very careful and basically said that the process wasn't followed. There was no hearing, and maybe, if the process was followed, they wouldn't have any issues with Richard Allen's attorneys being chucked off. They didn't rule on the merits, they ruled on the process. Although some of them gave some really good hints on how they felt about the merits of kicking the attorneys off the case. Not during the ruling, but during the actual hearing. And when I read the ruling, I was like, oh my god, she's going to try and kick them off again. And that is kind of what it looks like. She denies the Franks hearing a few days after the Supreme Court, even though she already told the interim attorneys that she's going to schedule a hearing. Then when Baldwin and Rosie get back on, she's like, no, scrap that. Deny. She denied a lot and then fell up over herself trying to schedule in a hearing on Nick McClelland's motion to hold the defence team in contempt of court. So she's now following the process. I don't think it matters because the merits of her grievances with the defence team still don't reach anything near a level of them warranted being kicked off a case, in my opinion, from what I've read from attorneys who know a lot more than me. But was that her plan after the Supreme Court ruling? Oh, I'll just follow the process. I'll disgrace these guys in open court, get everything on the record with the help of Nick and kick them off. If that was the plan, if she did that, I think we still would end up back at the Supreme Court anyway. But now that Rick has filed for a speedy trial, I think even she knows, surely, that there's no chance of getting them off without causing mayhem. So with that in mind, are Rick Allen's defence team allowed a takesy-backsy after the contempt hearing? Are they allowed to say after the hearing and after they get their slap on their wrist and after they remain on this case, oh heads up, we now need more time, so we waive our right to a speedy trial? I don't know the answer to that. I need to find out if they can even do that. I think they probably could. They just can't come back again and say, we want a speedy trial now again. You can't waive your right and then try to get it back. Like, to be honest, I thought the ship had sailed when it came to filing for this. I thought if they were going to do it, they would have done it as soon as they were put back on the case. The fact that it went a few weeks and they got some new discovery had me thinking, oh, what's in that discovery? Is there something in there that Rick Allen's team do not like? But now that they've filed for a speedy trial, if genuine, I'm like, they must not be worried about anything in the new discovery or any new evidence. I imagine Nick McClelland is not too happy. He's nowhere near ready and will struggle with some expert witnesses. He's already on the back foot there. I just wish we had someone more experienced to prosecute this case. How ridiculous that this man is he's probably overworked and underprepared for a trial, let's be fair. But the clock is now ticking and he's spending weeks preparing for a contempt hearing that will probably end up with a slap in the wrist and a fine for Baldwin. Whoop-de-doo. What a waste of time. And it does not help Abby and Libby's families. His time and resources would be far better off if he was preparing for this trial that the clock is now ticking on. I think Richard Allen's defence team are a lot more ready for this than Nick is. If they are bluffing and if they try to waive his right for a speedy trial following the hearing, then I think Rick's in trouble. I think that'll be a telltale sign that there is indeed some solid evidence there. Potentially evidence that is late to the party that they didn't know about until recently. I don't think they are bluffing. I think they're good to go. It was mentioned on a call long before the leaks became the focus that they're good to go in January. In a transcript of the call, Judge Gull, I think she made a passing comment about moving the original trial that was scheduled for January, and Baldwin or Rosie was like, no, we're not agreeing to move anything, we'll probably be good to go, which must have sent a shiver down her spine and Nick's, because that would have been their Christmas ruined. Their whole schedule would be in a heap. So they've been teasing a speedy trial for a while, but tease no more because it's filed now and the clock is ticking. Unless something mental happens, which given the history of this case cannot be ruled out really, can it? We're going to see a trial for Richard Allen in May, and it feels like we've waited a very long time for this, but that'll be honest now, very, very fast. Roll on May, let's get this over with. Good luck, God bless. I hope everyone has a nice day.